One of the stories that I recall very vividly is I got to be 19 or 20 and I was interested in buying a car. I was talking to a dealer. It got serious. You know, we were down to talking about money. Anyway, I had not given the salesperson my name. It was time to do that, and so I told him, my name is Swisher. And he said, "Are you any kin to Let 'em Have It Swisher down at the credit union?" And I said, "My dad's manager at the credit union. I am the son of Richard Olin Swisher. Olin Swisher was the first manager of actually it was Chattanooga TVA employees Federal Credit Union at the time. He was hired 1954, as I recall.
Yeah, TVSU was formed in 1936 by 57 employees of TVA, and they pulled together $500 to generate enough money to start a financial institution. They felt there was a need in the community for there to be an alternative source for banks, a way to make credit more available to the employees of TVA, and to be able to provide that credit at a lower cost. Credit unions are owned essentially by the people who do business with the credit union. You're actually part owner of the credit union, and every member has one vote, so it's equal ownership among all members.
After the war boom, there was a lot of things going on and a lot of economic progress, if you will, and people generally felt good about the economy. And so borrowing money was not a serious problem if you had a good job. You know, I run into people now, employees that say, "I remember one time I went by to see your father to get a loan, and he said, 'Wow, that's not enough money. You need more money than that. Need $1,200 to buy a car,' and went over to pick up the check, and it was for $1,500. And I said to your dad, 'That's too much money. I didn't want that.' He said, 'Buy the car, and you got a little extra money. Take your wife on a trip up to Gatlinburg in that new car.'" My dad's philosophy about loans at the credit union was this: the members were employees of TVA. In the 1950s and 60s, if you were an employee at TVA, chances are you were a full-time employee and you were going to be there 30 years. There wasn't any way that was going to be a bad loan. And he was, in fact, the loan officer and was instrumental, I think, in encouraging and developing the loan side of the credit union. And there was a promotional side of this thing that he dearly loved. There were all kinds of things. So I think those things contributed heavily to the growth of the credit union through the late 50s and into the 60s.
From a promotional aspect, people really remember the name Tennessee Valley Federal Credit Union, and that's what having these promotional items over the years has done for us. It's solidified where we are and what our standing is in the community. Kept a lot of the traditional things that you do for promotions. We probably give out more ink pens in the community than any business. You go to a restaurant, you're more than likely, when the waiter or waitress brings you your check and your pen, you're going to find a Tennessee Valley Federal Credit Union pen there.
I went to work with TVA, and once a week or so, we would go to lunch together. And he would be stopped 2 or 3 times, maybe, or more on the street by other TVA employees who wanted to talk to him about a loan. And it was no small thing to have the capacity to go down to the Edney building and have the guy down there, Swisher, write you a check for $1,500 for a car because you were a member of the TVA credit union. I think it was the late 50s when the credit union finally got to $500,000 in assets. Well, that's millions, you know, but $500,000 was a big deal. We had a special colored edition of the newsletter that went out that month.
Over the years, credit unions in general learned that it wasn't really a great idea to exclude other members of the community. Credit unions began to sign up additional what we call employer groups. So after several years of signing up what we call select employer groups, the credit union had over 2,000 different businesses in town that could be, their employees could be members of the credit union. The name was changed to Tennessee Valley Federal Credit Union so that more people would know that we represent the whole community and you don't have to be exclusively a TVA employee to be a part of the credit union. We'll just say that currently we have 135,000 members that we serve through our 13-county region. I
think a lot of the credit for growth has to do with the management of the credit union. I think we've had, over the years, they've had some great managers. They've had some great staff people who have been progressive in their views and their attitudes.
We were one of the first institutions in the late 80s to have online banking, and in that day and age you used to take a floppy disk and put it into your computer and download a program in order to connect to our online banking via what was a dial-up network at the time. And it was really innovative. So over the years we've really seen a change in the way that we've served our membership. And while we've retained a lot of the traditions that you find in a financial institution, beyond that, we were the first institution in the area to implement what we call dialogue branches. And if you go into one of our branches in the Tennessee marketplace, you'll see that we have pods that members walk up to rather than the traditional static teller line. We're actually at this point beginning to move a little bit beyond dialogue branching, what we call an interactive teller machine. And what this does is it gives the member the ability to come to our branch and see and have a session with one of our service representatives who's stationed in our downtown. And with that technology, we've been able to extend our hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. rather than having traditional banking hours. And we've helped many, many members buy their first home, buy their first car, make that first purchase, open their first deposit account, and we're really proud of that history. The TVSU of today is very involved in community endeavors. Last year we implemented a product called Idea Leap that helps small businesses write business plans and get a program in place. It's our way of giving back and helping the entrepreneurial community in Chattanooga.
But it goes beyond that. As far as I'm concerned, it's a lifelong experience and attitude. The idea of caring and the commitment to solving issues, finding a way to do that, even if the I's weren't dotted and maybe the T's crossed. I may say I'm very proud of that. So it makes it sort of a family tradition. It's kind of a warm spot.
We feel as a credit union that we can reach in and help in a way that a lot of other institutions will not. And that's because we really adhere to the same thing we did in 1936, which was put the member first in all the decisions you make and do everything you can to help that member succeed in life.